So hi, welcome to Good Noise Podcast. I'm Shane,
I'm Glory.
and we're here with,
I'm Keaton.
And I'm Danny, and we're Daisy Grenade.
and we're asking some questions today about their upcoming EP, Sophomore Slump. So congrats on that, by the way. How you guys feeling about the response to the announcement so far?
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, I feel like for a debut EP, it's been pretty cool. Very overwhelming.
The EP was very good.
Yeah.
I listened to it earlier.
It banged.
Oh, thanks.
It banged.
I'm so glad you guys like it. Awesome.
Of course. So is there any meaning behind the EP title or cover art?
Yeah, there is. Well, first of all, we thought it would be just simply funny because it is our debut EP, and calling it Sophomore Slump is funny. To me. I don't know if anyone else will think it's funny, but I do. And I talked about this a little bit when we released our lead single. I kind of just liked the idea of like a lot of the themes of the record are like a lot of sort of like adolescent or like teenage like fears and I don't know, like feelings that like come up like in your like adolescent age. So I think the sophomore slump is like the second time around, like them coming back sort of in your adulthood and like not knowing how to deal with them. Was kind of my thought on it. It also is a subtle nod to a Fall Out Boy song. But yeah, so there was a lot of things that went into it. It was not the original title of the EP. It was originally called something else. And then a very big pop punk band dropped a single with that title. So we were like, oh, you shouldn't use that. So, but I like it. I think that it actually encapsulates a little bit more of what we were going for. So
yeah, Daisy Grenade's also like the second iteration of this project for us. It was a different name. It was a different, similar but a different thing before it became what it is. So it is our sophomore year of
it's our sophomore try
of band.
Oh, well, can you share the original name of the EP, or are you guys holding on to it for something else?
No, not at all. I don't think so. It was originally, the original name was called Pity Party.
Okay.
And then Stand Atlantic dropped like literally a month before we were like ready to put it into distro. We were like, I feel like we shouldn't use this. And they had like a pretty big rollout. So we were like, okay.
Yeah, I don't think that would have went over well.
Yeah, probably it wouldn't have gone over well with them.
So can you tell us a little bit about your writing process for this EP?
Sure. We've been, for the better part of the last year, we've been sending each other voice memos back and forth. This is how we started writing. We started writing for fun, and then we'd be like, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? And then we would just keep adding on that way, because we were writing kind of pandemic times, so we weren't together for a lot of it. And yeah, I think I'll speak for both of us. I think we both listen to a lot of the same kind of music and find inspiration from similar genres and artists. So that definitely influences what we're writing at the time. But each song, it's different. Sometimes we start with lyrics, sometimes we start with a melody, sometimes we start with a sentence. Like literally for MILF, I remember Keith texted me one day and was like, MILF, memory I'd like to forget. And I'm like, that's good. Let's make that a song. And then we did.
And there are no co-writes on this one, except for Babe Blackout obviously isn't fully ours, but there are no co-writes on this one. So it literally was just me and Danny like going back and forth. Whereas like the next EP, wink soon, is all co-writes. So it's like all like, sessions that we took and people that we met and stuff. So this one feels very like much more, I think, personal, and not necessarily even personal in the way of like they're like such like the songs are even about our lives, because like none of them really are, like at least like our lives like at present, but they just feel a little bit more, they were just among like the first group of songs we ever wrote for this project, so it just feels really personal. So
yeah, I was looking at like the writing credits on the debut single, and I was like, holy shit, Pete Wentz, like what like can we talk about that for a second, like how you guys linked up with all those people that you wrote with?
We actually didn't write, we got credit on it just because we redid the arrangement like quite a bit. But it was Baby Blackout was a song written for Pete Pete's project with BB Rexa, like back in the early 2000s or like mid 2000s, called the Black Cards. And so we got linked up with Pete through our manager, who I went to high school with.
Oh, cool.
She works on TV projects. She's a TV writer.
Mhm.
And she works with Pete on, he's her music supervisor on a lot of stuff. And they kind of talked about, I'm answering two questions about answering one question, but they'd kind of talked about sort of like bringing up an artist together, specifically like female artists. They had talked about bringing in like an emo band, like female emo band, at least female fronted. And Hannah, sort of our manager, sort of refound me on Instagram, and kind of took us on. And that was like one of the first things that we started working on with Pete. He was like, I had this song that never got released. And it was like a very different version of it. I posted a TikTok like a while ago of like the 3 different versions we went through before it ended up being the version that we got.
Mm-hmm.
But the first version, the demo, is BB, and it's like very sort of like poppy 2000s. Like the production is cool. It's just like not really our vibe, but we loved the lyrics and the melody so much, folk melody. And then we tried it again with like a hyper pop mix of it. It was like really different. I think we might release it at some point because it bangs. It's so good, but it's just like wasn't right for the project, like wasn't right for this EP. Our friends produced it and it's really, really good. Which is like, it was like a Charlie XCX sort of vibe. And then we obviously ended on this one, which Alex Suarez produced, which I don't know if he's credited as a writer. I don't think on that one, but he has produced it. And so those guys wrote, it's like Pete and like Sam Hollander and like all those like really, really heavy hitters from like the early 2000s. And still now they're writing a lot of good, but we just got really lucky, honestly, with that they were willing to give us that one and to be able to reimagine it in the way that fit, our project and our vision was really cool. And also to have the other versions of it is really sick too. Like that will always be there. And I think, like I said, I do think that we'll probably release the hyperpop version because people seem to really like it.
Okay. That's good.
Yeah.
Do you know if Pete has heard your reimagined version?
Oh yeah. So we work with Pete really closely. So we, yeah. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he's definitely heard it. He heard all the versions leading up to it. He was like very involved and is still very involved. He made our EP art. He didn't do it, but his person did it. So, and he was very helpful with like conceptualizing everything. And yeah.
Okay, cool.
We could talk about this for hours.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Working with him is amazing. He's great. He's just very clearly cares about what he does and the people he's working with. And he's very generous with his time and thoughts and ideas, and is very helpful in guiding our creative decisions, but also giving us the power to make decisions that we want to make, and without stepping on any stuff. He'll be just like, I think this is an idea. You don't have to do it. And we're like, well, we're going to listen to you. You're Pete Wentz, but
yeah.
Fair enough.
But yeah, no, it's a really great working relationship.
That's awesome.
That's good. Yeah. So I want you two to tell us your favorite lyric off this EP and the meaning behind it.
Oh man, that's a tough one.
Wow.
I think I have mine. Do you want to go first? Do you have one?
No.
That's a really hard question.
Go. I know what song I'm pulling mine from, but I need to now whittle it down in my brain.
Now I have to think of how it goes. Hold on. Oh my god, I might need to
look at the lyrics.
Yeah, no shame in that.
It's all good.
You're like,
I don't sing it. I don't remember the lyrics when we play live, so doing this without that is hard.
I'm sorry. I'm going
so glad you're going first.
I am going to answer, but like not in the way you want me to. I am choosing the entire bridge to Borderline.
That's fine.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't have to be one line out of the song.
It is one long sentence. It is rambly. And when I was writing that particular section, I was like, it just kind of like poured out in a way that I had never experienced before while writing. I'm usually like really thinking hard about it, and it kind of just, I was like sitting in the classroom I was teaching in at the time, absolutely not playing any music or listening to any music, just sitting in a second grade classroom. And like the whole bridge kind of came out of this imagined scenario for me, but it drew on a lot of personal experiences and feelings that I've had. So it wasn't necessarily about an actual thing happening, but it was truthful in what it was talking about. And it just kind of poured, and I was like, whoa. And I really like some of the wordplay and like the rhythmic back and forth, and some of the sentences hang on and like go on to the next line and stuff like that.
Will you give us a dramatic reading of the lyrics, please?
Wow.
We would love that.
Yes.
Okay.
I want to hear what they sound like when you speak
Are you
them.
ready?
Mhm.
Can you make this all better? Hurry up and forget her. Look how much smaller I can be. Does she know what you promised? I'm just being honest. You said that you'd spend your life with me, or you were going to die trying, but you're still alive, and this panic is taking over me, so ditch her and come home now. I can't be alone. How? You told me I'd never have to be.
God.
Hell
Damn,
yes.
Those are good.
Wow.
I really had to
Good
think about that. I was thinking hard just now.
I know, I'm like literally in my head like.
Like, how's this going? Yeah. Anyway, that's my answer.
For me, I really like the second verse of Real Horror Show. And I think my favorite lyric, probably my favorite lyric I've ever written, is caffeine and benzos. What do I say? Morning routine, brew up bullshit, caffeine and benzos, kid, you got this. And then what comes after that? You got this. They'll pry your eyes open until they bleed, but they don't want you to see. And then I also really like the lyrics. Sorry, I'm being so annoying, but I really like the
It's
lyrics
okay.
doing the backstroke through Tent City. I win the race. I think that might be my favorite like little couplet.
Okay.
And that whole song is like the title and like some of the lyrics are like Clockwork Orange references. I don't know if anyone got that, but it's like sort of about just like the like blatant and like utter disregard to like, for me it was like about the planet and like the climate, like they'll pry your eyes open, like they're like, look at this thing that's really bad, like this thing is really bad and we're all gonna die probably, but like no one does anything about it, like the like stagnantness, that a word, of like the culture, while still like sort of like making us watch these horrible things. Like I remember there was a lyric that didn't make it that Danny said to me one time that was like watching a war on TikTok or something like that. Like just like having these like sort of really like just horrible images and like the news and like the like I feel like we're like inundated with information all the time, but then like completely paralyzed and not doing anything.
Mhm.
So the doing the backstroke was like about like homeless encampments like being flooded and like having to swim through them was like the imagery in my mind.
Okay. Powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God.
Before we move on, Danny, we want to meet your dog, please.
Mhm.
Yes, that is Lola. She is a rescue from Puerto Rico. She is going to be 4 years old in June. I can't believe that. She's a Gemini. Yeah. And she is my baby and my child. And I am her mother.
She is so
She
cute.
used to hate me, but now we're
Whatever.
friends.
That's good. I'm glad.
One more thing before we move on. Danny, you mentioned, are you a second grade teacher?
I was
You
for
were?
a year
For a
during
year.
the pandemic.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask if you've ever gotten your kids involved in your music at all.
Wow. I guess, you know what? We were doing a lot of writing during the time that I was in those classrooms, and I'm sure there was inspiration from what I was going through. Teaching's not for me. I'm glad I had the experience, but I definitely learned a lot about myself.
Mhm.
So I'm sure indirectly they were involved. And then a couple of Fridays we had little jam sessions outside where I played guitar and we all sang, and it was very cute.
Oh, that's adorable. I love that.
So where was your headspace at while you guys were writing the CP?
Second grade classroom.
Yeah, I don't know.
Honestly, for a lot of it.
I don't know what I was doing. I was working my old job that I have since quit. Um,
Yeah. And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, when we were writing a lot of this, it wasn't like with EP goal in mind. We were kind of
no.
just in like this new thing where we were writing for the first time together, and the project was very new. So a lot of it was just writing for like, let's see what
we can get, kind
what
of.
we can get, what we can do, how we like to work and stuff like that. And then we ended up honing in on the ones that fit the project the best.
We just kind of kept writing. We were just writing and writing and writing and writing. We like took some sessions out in LA and took some sessions here and kind of just decided in the end. And we had like, I think we at the end of, before we like decided that this was the project, that this EP was the project, we had probably like 30 demos like sitting in
Wow.
a Dropbox, right? Was it something like
We
that?
have a lot.
Yeah, we have.
Wow.
But yeah, we just wrote a lot before we decided that these were the ones. And it was funny because like it just ended up being the ones that were just her and I in the very beginning that just sort of like hit,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think that's right. I think we just, and I think that's kind of why it made sense as a project, is because we didn't really mean it to be. All of a sudden we were just like, oh, it's these 5.
Mhm.
I'm like
Yep.
5. I was gonna say 4. These 5 that just like fit, that seemed to just sort of like puzzle piece themselves together.
Yeah. This all while we were finding the sound, trying to like fine tune what the band is, what's the aesthetic, what's the sound, what's the vibe.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And these 5 were like, oh, I think that's the vibe. And this is all, of course, with help from our manager and Pete. And we also work with Spencer Smith, and then our wonderful producer, Alex. Just everybody helping kind of give little feedback here and there, helping us
Yeah.
like figure it out.
And also like Suarez, who produced it, like he really helped sort of like define a sound and define like what we met up with him. Pete and Spencer like hooked us up with him in like probably like like March of last year,
Cool.
April maybe,
Mhm.
about a year ago. And we did, the first song we did was MILF, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we just kind of brought it to him, and we were like, what do you think? Because we don't, I don't know, I'm terrible at even making demos myself, so I
Mhm.
can barely like get Logic to like open on my computer. So
Fair
I'm
enough.
working on that. I'm gonna get better at it, but it's just not my strength, and I don't know anything about it. And so we just kind of didn't know what we were gonna do, like production wise. Like we had our friends who are a little bit more, they did the hyperpop version and just a little bit more inclined towards that sort of style, which we weren't sure was like the direction we were gonna go.
Mhm.
So Alex really, really helped with that. Like I think he is hugely to I was about to blame, hugely to his credit.
He's
Like,
responsible.
this
God damn it,
record is, like,
Alex.
is a huge.
He's responsible.
He's responsible for us. I really wanted to make merch that said "We're Pete Wentz's problem now," but I feel like that might not go over well.
Yes.
Maybe
At
we
some
can make it
point.
with Alex too. We're Alex
some
Torrens's
point.
issue. That's definitely true. But yeah, he is just hugely too. It's a lot of his influence as well on the sound of this record. So
Unclear if we answered your question, but
yeah,
we
I think
said
you
answered
did,
the question.
yeah.
We definitely
Yeah,
said
you
something.
You
We said
kinda-
something.
Kind of
We
went
both
this
said
way
something.
and
Yeah,
eventually
sure,
answered
sure.
it, which is good.
And one more thing, you mentioned that you had 30 odd demos, you sifted through them, you got 5 songs that you wanted for this EP. And then earlier you mentioned that you have another EP that you're working on right now. Did any of those leftover demos get put onto this EP, or did you guys just start fresh?
Yeah, actually, like the reason we kind of decided we wanted to start with another project was a demo that came out of a trip to LA last fall. With some producers and some writers that we just really clicked with, like kind of instantaneously, and got this demo back, and we were like, oh, that is like the sound. That's the sound for the next EP for sure. Like it just was like very clear that there was like a direction. So we're actually going out next week.
Oh wow.
Ooh.
This record, the second record. Yeah.
Ooh,
But
that's
yeah, it was like
exciting.
the one demo was what inspired this next project. But everything else we're writing fresh for
Yeah.
this project, and all those other demos just Sitting.
They may see the light of day, they may not.
Fair enough.
B-sides,
Yeah.
yeah. So how do you recommend your fans to listen to this EP for the first time? Should they play it in the car with friends, start with headphones on? Is it a workout album, party? EP, sorry. What do you guys personally recommend?
Oh, I love that. I don't know.
That's a good question.
It's definitely like, I don't know. I think it is a really great album, EP, whatever, that you can like. Feels like something I could sit alone in my house and like blast and be like alone, being like, yeah, this is great. But also, I feel you should share it with friends who may also jam, and then you can jump up and down and scream together, which I think could be fun. We do it all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
It feels like a walking album to me. Like it feels like we live in New York, so we walk a lot, but it feels like a trekking album. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's right.
All right. Interesting.
It's like when you have headphones on and you're like, I'm the main character, kind of.
Yeah,
and
it's that, I think, for me.
When
you're like on the
you're
train,
walking,
like,
it's your coming of age movie, like soundtrack, where you're on the bus. So you're on.
That's kind of what it feels like for me. It's my coming of age soundtrack for sure.
All right.
I am 25, but
we're always coming of age.
Exactly.
Love that. So this question should be super, super quick. Off the top of your head, I want you to describe this EP for new listeners in 3 words. No more, no less. Both of you have to do it.
Okay. Oh my God. That's so hard. Top of my head.
Mm-hmm.
The first word that came to my mind is glittery. I don't know what that means. It's glittery, it's grungy, and it's I don't know, it's loud. That's what I would say.
There we go.
Loud, glittery, and grungy. I feel like that sums it up pretty well.
Okay. All right.
For sure.
Tis bubbly. Tis cheeky.
Okay.
Ooh.
And it is also deep. I want to redact that, but I'm not going to.
Yeah, it's locked in now.
Stick with it.
That's it.
Perfect. So is there a certain feeling or emotion you want this EP to invoke in your listeners?
Yeah,
nostalgia.
definitely.
Ooh. Nostalgia.
Yeah,
I'm not sure for what. But
okay. Fair enough.
In sound, in vibe, in feeling. I don't know, you ever hear a song and you're just like, I feel like I'm somewhere in the past that I was having a good time, but I don't know. It's like how I feel when I listen to 90s music. Like I was like 4, but I still get like a nostalgic feeling for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's how I feel about this.
I think I should just make you feel like, I really feel like it should just make you feel like the main character. That's how I feel. I feel like it should just like, it should feel like your, like, I want it to feel like your own, like when you're listening to it. Like, I don't want it to feel like, I hope that people feel connected to it in a way that it's like, feels like their own words, or like, feels like, I hope that we captured like an air of relatability to the point where people like feel like an ownership. Not an ownership over it, but you know what I mean, like just like feel related to it, or feel, I don't know,
connected,
seen, I guess.
I get
exactly,
that.
Yeah.
So what is your favorite memory that you guys made while creating this EP?
I'm really trying to think of like the time we were writing this. It felt like so long that I'm like, oh my God, what, can I even boil it down?
We played our first gig as a full band, like smack in the middle of while this was being written. Mm-hmm. And though a couple of the songs didn't exist yet, they were in the works at the time. So I'm always it was like summertime. We played our first gig. It was a massive crowd at this cool, like outdoor street festival that we were asked to play at. And it wasn't even like the full members of the band as they are now. It was but it was just still the first time the band was like actualize.
Mhm.
And I think because this EP is so like, it's the first thing, and that makes me think of the first gig.
That's cool.
Sweet.
That's,
I like
yeah,
Yeah.
that's good.
Our friends used to have this apartment in the East Village that was like a COVID apartment, like huge, and like they got this crazy deal. So we would spend like a lot of time there last summer. They've since moved, and it was very sad. It was like end of an era. But I remember like walking after we'd had dinner with our manager for the first time ever, sort of like coaxing her into managing us. And she was like, hey, like, I think I was walking from dinner with her to this apartment with a bunch of my friends were there, and her texting us being like, hey, like, I think Pete wants to like give you this song that he has, like, which was Baby Blackout. And I remember just like listening to this record that is so like indicative of that time for me, like that last summer, listening to that record, walking down the street, just being like, what? Like, just like not sort of like beginning to realize kind of like what we were doing, like I think for the first time.
Yeah.
And then also like one more was when we were in LA. I don't know if you remember this, Danny. We were in LA and we had like one day off, like someone had canceled the session. We like had some time off when we were walking around, and we used like cans of wine because we were like hadn't really had a time like for like a break at all. And we'd had like, no, it wasn't because we had a crazy session in the morning that had ended, and then we had the evening off. And I remember like we were like walking down, and I just looked at her and I was like, I don't think like either of us understand like what we've gotten ourselves into. Like not in a bad way, but I just was like, it was just a moment of like, I think we really need to zoom out for a second. Like this is insane.
Mm-hmm.
And those two moments like stick out in my mind of just being like, I feel like I will, you know, when you have a moment, you're like, I'm going to remember this.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like those two moments stick out in my mind as like moments to remember.
Oh,
Very sick.
you guys had good picks.
Yeah.
That was good.
Oh,
Smile. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if the project was a dish, what dish would the band be? Just to, swerve off to the side for a second.
I love
Have you
that.
seen when Demi Lovato answers this question? They're like, what's your favorite dish?
Mhm.
And she's like, a mug. That
Like,
is
yeah,
wants
mug.
to be my answer.
Oh my God,
I'm just
no.
kidding. I don't know.
Like meal, like a food.
Yeah,
to
yeah.
eat. This is like, dang.
I feel like this is a you question. I feel like you'll know the answer to this.
I
for some
love
reason.
food, but I don't know what the answer is. The only thing that's coming to my brain is like a sandwich. Like a good sandwich.
Like a sub.
You know when you have like a sandwich with just like
Oh my God.
hits?
Wait, you
Mhm.
know what it is?
What?
Have you
What?
ever had Blimpie? It's a Blimpie sub. Do you get that though?
I get it. That's really specific. I think
that
it could
makes
be
sense
whatever
to me.
sub. Whatever sub you need it to be.
I'm
It is
saying it's a
that.
Blimpie sub.
Okay, for you it's a Blimpie sub.
Okay.
Okay.
What kind of sub is it for you, Danny?
I don't know. One I get to make myself. Like from like the bodega.
Okay.
Like when I
Oh,
go
okay.
up to the counter and I get to build my own.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
It's a build
That
your
makes
own
sense
sub.
also to me, just so you know, because
Nice.
you're curious.
Okay. All right. And for the last couple questions, we're going to shift completely away from music and go straight to death row.
Boom.
So if you're on death row, what would your last meal be with a drink?
I'm loving these food-centric questions.
We love food here.
Yeah, we love food.
So do we.
My great grandmother's red sauce with fresh pasta and then a dirty martini.
Nice.
Vodka.
Oh,
Yeah, that's it. Take me out.
Delicious.
That's
Alright.
it.
I'm gonna go for my mom makes this Thai. It sounds weird, but it's really good. This Thai peanut sauce pizza with chicken,
Okay.
and it's so good. It was
Mhm.
my last meal before I went to college, and it would be my last meal before I died. And I'm gonna go with a very dry, very expensive champagne.
Okay. All right.
Perfect.
Nice.
Yeah. Mhm. So if you could live in one fictional world for a week, where would you live?
Incredible question.
Shrek.
Did you just say
Shrek?
I said Shrek's World.
Oh
Hands down,
my
like
God.
fairy tale
Oh my God.
town, wherever that might be. Not the swamp. That's his.
Oh,
I will not
okay.
go to his swamp. I
Mhm.
will
Oh
live
my God. Like
in the
Duloc?
adjacent,
Your answer to this question is
like-
Duloc?
like outskirts of Duloc, like in the woods.
Wow.
You know,
really
I'm gonna
just
leave you
shook
to
me.
that.
Holy shit.
We haven't gotten Shrek, so I'm gonna.
No,
Oh my God.
let me live my life.
You're locking it in, man.
She knew too.
Thank
She
you.
just goes Shrek. Holy shit.
No
Every
hesitation.
time I walk through Forest Hills Gardens, I say, "This is beautiful. This looks like somewhere that like the people from Shrek would live." And I say, "This is where I want to live." Little stone cottages. There's ivy everywhere. When I'm living there,
Get that. I feel like I have a good answer, but now I'm like,
You can't top Shrek, so
no, I know. I
Yeah.
literally can't
yeah.
talk that. I think I would go with like, my inclination is to say, I don't think I can say that. Do you guys ever read the Magic Treehouse books?
Yes.
Yes.
I think
Mhm.
I might live in that world. That sounds really fun to me. To be able to
For
go
sure.
to like anywhere in Magic Treehouse. I'm gonna say that. I'm locking that in.
All right.
I haven't thought about that book series in ages.
I still
It
have
was
them
like
on
the
my
first thing that
bookshelf.
came to my mind. I was like, okay, I guess that's it.
Yeah.
That's a very good pick though.
Mhm.
I like that a lot.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thanks. Not as good as Shrek, but
no.
I mean, it's
Of course
up there
not.
though.
Yeah.
It's up there. Yeah.
So I have the honor of asking the last question, and every single person that we've spoken to have said that is the most important question. What's your favorite color?
my
Rust.
favorite color is
Okay.
my
Yeah.
favorite color is pink. I'm gonna be basic as hell. It's
All right,
pink.
fair enough. We got
Good
rust
picks.
and pink. Good combo. All right.
Rust and pink.
I've never heard two words that described us better in my life.
We always say that like I'm the daisy and she's the grenade. Although I don't know if that's still true. Sometimes it switches, but
Depends on the day.
I kind of
pink
get
and
those
rust
vibes
do
though.
definitely call
Sure.
Yeah. All
daisy
right.
and grenade.
So as I said, that's all the questions we have today. Is there anything that you guys would like to plug?
Oh yeah. I mean, stream our EP. It comes out tonight at midnight.
It'll be
But also,
on-
we're playing a show on May 11th at the Sultan Room in Brooklyn with Meg Smith, America Jane, and Sorry Mom. And that's going to be our like. It's a little bit after our EP releases, but that's going to be our big. We're calling it the Daisy Grenade Birthday Bash. So
Nice.
there will be party favors. There will be balloons. There might be cupcakes. There will be a pinata.
I love that.
And the info is all on our Instagram.
Oh yeah.
If you want to come to that,
That sounds really fun. I love that idea.
All right.
it'll be fun.
Oh well, thank you for now. This guy's been Daisy Grenade, and we have been the Good Noise Podcast.